Hey, it's a video response for Backwoods. Little hunting chat. The thing that keeps, I don't know about you, but keeps some of us sane during the off season. Now you would think if you watch TV that we don't really have an off season down here with the whole hog overpopulation, but we've honestly hunted the shit out of the hogs off of our property. They were propagating pretty good when we first got in there, to the point of it'd be really a sure thing, which was nice, because whenever we'd take a guest to the property, you know, it gave them a lot of action, and which for a guest or a future prospect, meaning a person that's going to come into the hunting club, you know, you show them that kind of action. I could always count on the hogs to perform, so to speak. You know, if you're showing somebody some property and you're asking them to drop a couple grand, especially an inexperienced person, to have like a gaggle fuck of hogs run across the road as you're walking around showing them stuff, they're like, yeah, they're totally stoked, thinking, oh yeah, we'll get it done. Fast forward to, man, I don't know, 5 years of concentrated hunting where we're each pulling out 3 to 5 pigs per year, and then they just sort of scattered. Especially you take down a mama pig, and then the boars are real sketchy. Our hogs act different than the ones do that you see on the news in Texas, where they're almost a herd, or like a sty, but like a herd mentality. They're different down here. The pigs behave a lot more close to how a whitetail does, in that they know they're being hunted. And I'll tell you something interesting. This one time I was up in my tree stand, and this was doe was already gone. I had maybe 2 doe over at the food source, and then here comes this red hog, like this red-headed hog. And I wasn't going to shoot the hog because for us it was medium-sized, which is I don't know, somewhere in the 100-pound range for the hog. And I'm watching them. Literally, you know, people say hogs don't look up. Literally, this pig looked up at me. I'm doing everything I can to just stay as still as possible, and I'm not even thinking. So check this out. I'm not bound and determined to kill him or nothing, but you know, when you're hunting, and you know the thing you got is the thing that you're going to try to kill, and for me, I get those momentary butterflies in my stomach, like, okay, yeah, it's on. There's a difference. There's a difference in the adrenaline. So where I had the doe completely in shooting range, I know I'm not going to kill them. The pig comes out utterly in shooting range, like he's passing right below my stand, so he's less than 10 yards in. And in my mind, I remember what an old timer told me once, and that was to always hunt as if it was the last hunt of the last day of the season. That went through my mind. I made the choice to put my hunt on and go after that hog. I'm sure I did not move. I'm still as can be. The only thing moving is my eyeballs. I'm even measuring my breathing. In the decision to go for that hog that was just sort of trotting, just minding his own damn business, I get those little momentary butterflies, and boom, it was as if that hog could sense the butterflies that I felt in that one moment, and boom, he was gone. Now, could just be a coincidence, and you could say, well, you were maybe the wind changed, or he hit your wind track, or he didn't like something that the doe were doing over at the feeding area. That's possible. The tree stand that I'm up in, though, it's another half taller than what a typical tree stand is, and in theory, what that does, it moves your scent cone up higher, and he would have been close enough to where it should have been past it by the time my scent went back down, if that makes sense. I didn't get a shot on him, and but that was like an interesting moment, and I can't even tell you. I don't think that was a bow season deal or not, but I don't know, man. Pretty wild, and I haven't gotten a hog for, I think it's maybe 2 years since we pulled a hog off the property. We last one that I was around, we have a hog trap, and actually trapped this big mama pig, and had a guest that took him, let him shoot her in the pen with his 270. Funny story, same guy, same 270 when we brought him up. Now this goes back to when we had a lot more hog going on, and that's a story for another time. And stop me if I've told it before. I feel like I have, and if I hadn't, then I probably will. But I got a limited amount of time this morning, and man, it's a good story about a hog and a 270 and the woods. But onto your 308. You'd mentioned that, and I had only had, like I said, only a handful of people that had shot with a 308, and it's an interesting chamber, and one that I don't know why people don't use it more often. I think because we're idiot rednecks and we only sort of go up. So as a brush gun, 308 doesn't really come to mind. 30-06 barely does also, but in a heavier caliber, if you watch your shots, there's no problem with a 30-06 in the brush. But I made the jump from 30-30 to 30-06 back sort of tangentially to 35 Remington and 12 gauge. When I go up during hunting season, it's not unusual for us to, me and another guy, we usually bring up multiple rifles anyhow, depending on either one, where we're hunting, or two, if we have some kind of a problem, like if something happens with the scope, like the 35 Remington. When I first got it had this Tasco scope on it, and Tasco is more of a hobby and toy scope to me, something you put on your BB gun. But I looked at it and looked through it, and it had just ridiculous clarity as I was looking through this Tasco scope, and I looked even closer, and it said made in Japan. Now this 35 Remington rifle is really old, and story is that it used to belong to somebody's brother, this sort of thing. So I'm like, okay. So I try to hunt with this thing, and I shoot it at the range just to make sure, and it's hard to tell, but it seemed like when I was shooting that Remy at the range, the reticle, the little reticle wires were getting blurry. Now, 35 Remington thumps pretty damn good, so I wasn't sure if it was me or the reticle. But I kill a hog with it, and whoa, it was nearly a religious experience killing that hog. And this was a pretty good sized hog. It was absolutely all my might to get this hog. I was by myself. It was absolutely all my might to get this hog up onto my four-wheeler, like deadlift style. Like I had to almost put part of its hind quarter in the footwell, stand on the back tray of my four-wheeler, and then pull him up the rest of the way with his deadlift. Then the next time I bring the 35 to the range, you know, after that season, there was zero consistency to where it was shooting. And as I tried to make adjustments, it had broken that Tasco scope internally. So it was the reticles vibrating on the 35 Remington. So I set that aside for right now, and just man, was that 3 years ago now? It's been kind of sitting. Which I got a whole mess of 35 Remington bullets. I'm down to my last box of 30-06. So probably the plan for this year, I'm going to move. I've got a Pro Staff scope on a 357 Henry that I'm going to move over. Hopefully it'll hold up on the 35 Remington and make that 35 Remington my primary. And I don't know what grain bullet is the 35 Remington. I know the 30-06 I've been shooting. I've been using the 170, figuring, you know, the heavier grain will help in the brush. But plan is to just kind of side in the 30-06 for backup, and then run that 35 Remington. Hopefully it'll shoot good. We shall see. We shall see. Got a whole bunch of 30-30 bullets also, but that's kind of another story. I could make a video, if you're interested in it, on how I end up with some hunting rifles. They're very interesting, and they're ones that if I were to tell them to the people who got me these rifles, there's a possibility that I would hurt their feelings, and I wouldn't want to do that. But the story of the 30-30 is interesting, and the story of the 35 Remington is interesting also. But let me know. And I'm curious on your 308. I don't know. It's a mind boggler. Because people down here, man, you go 30-06, and then then guys are going up to 300 Winchester mag, and then, you know, when they get a little bit older, then they go down to 300 Winchester short mag. Is kind of the course of rifling. So, all right, man. Always good to talk hunting. I could easily talk hunting. I'm thinking that we'd bore our compatriots with talk of this, but let them be bored. Or they could give us another topic to talk about if they don't want to hear about our bullshit hunting stories. But, all right, man. Good looking out, and this stuff makes me happy too. And this year makes me happy. Just the possibilities of setting up the club, and the new guys have youngins, and you know, and this will actually make for the third generation for the hunting club now, as far as youngins starting out and then growing up and through it. So, which to me is a good and wonderful thing. All right, my man, take it easy. Try not to work too hard, and catch y'all later.